live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Yes, it is. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Tuesday, August 8th. We're going in depth on a number of topics tonight. Joined by Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson here in studio momentarily. We'll go through a whole gamut of topics. Hope you'll stick with us. Let's take a look at what's making headlines tonight. You can find all of this on our website, KUTV.com. Some passionate arguments in front of the Utah State Supreme Court earlier today as they consider whether abortion should continue here in Utah. The state wants the court to remove an injunction that would let the state's ban go into effect. However, Planned Parenthood is fighting against that. Also in your headlines tonight, sheriff's deputies in Wasatch County investigating a deadly shooting and stabbing. This one happened last night at the Swiss Mountain Estates, that's west of the city of Midway. Also in your headlines right now, new details this evening after a man was found dead at Arches National Park. 66-year-old James Hendricks from the state of Texas, hiking in the park, believed to have died from heat stroke. The Park Service and Grand County Sheriff's Office are investigating this death. Also in your headlines tonight, President Joe Biden in the state of Arizona right now. Today he signed a presidential proclamation. It's gotten some buzz. It created a new national monument. This preserves close to 1 million acres of land around the Grand Canyon. It comes at the request of Native American tribes. You may have heard some of our Utah leaders weighing in on this one today. So as we go in depth on the topics, you can always join us throughout the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think there's something called Threads now. There are so many platforms. It is very easy to find us. So send us a message to any of those places to weigh in. Well, now for the fun part. Let's go in depth tonight. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson is here. I know I don't like the word busy because everybody's busy, but I get to look at your schedule, or at least a glimpse of it every week. I don't know how you do it, but thank you for being here.
It's an honor. I'm happy to be here.
Elections coming up. What are the important dates for people to be aware of as we get closer to the fall?
Well, we've got municipal primary elections. Of course, we've got the special congressional election for those who are in Congressional District 2, so it's a good chunk of the state. But the dates that we need to think about are September 5th for the primary election and then November 21st for the general.
As the chief election officer here in the state of Utah, what are you doing to ensure these elections are secure? I know on Twitter you tossed something out the other day about what's happening in parts of Arizona. I think it was hand counting. What are we doing to make sure we don't have mistakes here?
Well, we do a lot of things. So there are a lot of layers to elections when it comes to security, making sure that we have starts with voter registration, making sure that people are accurately registered to vote, making sure that their signatures are verified when they mail in their ballots, making sure that there's a statewide voter database so that only one ballot can actually count per voter. We have layers and layers of security, and if anyone is curious about what their county does to secure their vote, they can contact their county clerks and get a tour at any time. The county clerks would love to give them a tour.
Just to follow up on that, before we move along here, obviously there's been a lot of conversation about what happens in that 2nd Congressional District seat after Chris Stewart leaves in September. There was a lawsuit that involved, or at least some back and forth. Where are we now with that? Is everyone cleared to move forward? Is everyone in good standing where we can just get the names on the ballot and the people can decide?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the names are already on the ballot. Ballots are going out next week. On August 15th is when ballots will be mailed. Early voting will start. People can start turning those ballots in for the primary election. Right now we've got 3 candidates who will be in a Republican primary. We've got Bruce Huff, Celeste Malloy, and Becky Edwards. And that election will occur on September 5th.
A lot of conversation in downtown Salt Lake City today at the state Supreme Court. What is your take on the trigger ban arguments that are ongoing right now?
Well, the Supreme Court has a lot to weigh. We are a pro-life state. We're a pro-life administration. I'm very pro-life. I voted in favor of all of those pro-life bills. I actually sponsored I was the Senate sponsor of the 18-week ban. So, it's safe to say we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court says. In the meantime, we're a family-friendly state, and we are working really hard to make sure that we have family-friendly policies in place.
You mentioned policy. You had a big involvement in this one. I know it means something near and dear to you. You were heavily involved in the legislation regarding lethality assessments as it pertains to domestic situations for law enforcement. I've covered this story. I've talked to you about this before. I know that things went into place relatively soon or recently. Have you heard anything in terms of how these early indications are going with the assessment? Any success stories to come out of this since more departments have rolled them out?
Yes, in fact, I just got an update a few days ago for the month of July. July was the first month that this new law was actually in effect. The database is in place, the lethality assessment requirements are in place, and throughout the state in the month of July, there were 1,166 lethality assessments conducted. Now those will all go into a central database, so law enforcement will be able to look and see if there were prior incidents whenever they go to a scene. 63% of those lethality assessments were actually scored as high risk of lethality. 63%. So we're seeing already that this is helping. This is going to give the law enforcement and the criminal justice system the tools that they need to make better decisions. And it's also it's connecting victims to the services that they need to be safe.
How did it feel for you to hear those statistics, given the energy you put into this and the impact this has had on your family?
Well, it's sobering. It's wonderful to see things get done. I hate to use the word done, though, because we're not done. This is a step. It's a big step. It's a step in the right direction. But it just underscores the fact that there's a lot of domestic violence incidents in the state. There's a lot of need. And we'll see what those scores look like in the coming months and see if there's anything that requires further legislation. But we certainly need to keep our foot on the gas on this one.
Great to have Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson in studio with us here on 2 News Live, talking about a pretty monumental day. Anytime the president rolls around, It's a big deal. Joe Biden will be here in this state tomorrow. We've heard about what he's done and announced really today in Arizona. It's actually had a pretty big impact in how people are feeling today in Utah regarding a monument that could impact some ranchers, could impact some mining activity as it butts up against the state of Utah. Before we get to your overall thoughts, what are you thinking about what happened today as pertaining to the announcement?
Well, I share the concern of Governor Cox and other state leaders where monument designations are a really big deal. It's a very high threshold. It has serious impact on the land and the people around it. And it also has some impacts in terms of bringing attention to areas that might be sensitive and bringing people in and traveling on those lands and maybe even disrupting some of the resources that we're trying to protect. So we're very concerned about that monument designation. There are better ways to do this. We can protect land. We can honor the nature without these monument designations that don't come with any funding, don't come with any way of actually protecting those lands.
Just quickly, your thoughts on the president coming to Utah. We've got a little glimpse, I guess, of what he wants to talk about. Do you plan to see him? Do you plan to interact with him a little bit? I'm sure everybody's got to try to get a little elbow rub in there if they can.
Well, look, it's always an honor to have the President of the United States come to the state of Utah. I think he's going to be the 20th president to actually set foot in the Beehive State. So, of course, that's exciting. No matter who the president is, we honor the president. We're glad he'll be here. I don't know that I will be meeting with the president, but I'm sure that the governor will be. They keep those plans under tight wraps.
Even the lieutenant governor doesn't know if she gets to get in there for a quick photo op. Well, we'll have to see, and we'll find it on your social media platforms, that's for sure. Who do you see as the front runner in terms of the GOP presidential candidacy here in Utah? Obviously, Ron DeSantis was here. Donald Trump has been very loud in his conversations among other court proceedings. But who do you see as the people's vote, I guess, here for that role?
Well, it's still a long ways off. It's hard to tell. I'm feeling a bit of a competition between obviously DeSantis and Trump. I think there are a lot of people who are very concerned about Donald Trump. It feels a lot like it did in 2016, where people were kind of hesitant about supporting him in the Beehive State. But I don't know that there's anybody yet that's really gotten full wind behind their sails.
I want to go back to a local conversation because I know that you've put this out there on some of your accounts. We talked about this in depth here on 2 News Live last week too, not just with the governor, but with someone from the Huntsman Mental Health Institute talking about social media impacts. You've been obviously having a role behind the statewide social media campaign. How effective do you think this campaign actually will be here in the state of Utah?
Well, I think it's already been very effective before we even rolled it out. People are having these conversations. There's national, international awareness that's being brought to this issue. The truth is, social media is very damaging and dangerous to young people, especially teenage girls. We have seen skyrocketing incidents in depression, anxiety, self-harm, suicide attempts, emergency room visits. It's a significant problem, and we are very hopeful that this social media campaign will help arm parents with what the tools that they need to be able to keep their kids safe.
Feel like this starts at the home, truly?
Absolutely starts at the home, but it can't just only be in the home, because our kids aren't just only in the home. They're everywhere. They're at school. They have friends. A parent who wants to put these restrictions around their own children really needs the support of other parents as well, and teachers and schools. So I think this is a really important step in the right direction in terms of protecting our children.
You mentioned education. School's right around the corner, and laws are aimed at helping, of course, school choice here in Utah. What would you say to the parents of public school children about what the state's commitment is to our public school system, to our overall education system here in Utah?
Well, I think the state has demonstrated in the past few years especially a deep commitment to public education. We have increased spending on education. We gave a $6,000 a year increase to teacher pay this year specifically. We believe that parents have a right to decide what's best for their children. That's a fundamental principle that we live by here in the state of Utah. We can always do more, we can always do better, and to those parents who are sending their kids back to school, I say both congratulations and enjoy the last few days of summer.
I know that family ties are everything to you. You're not shy from posting social media pictures of mom or doing some things like that, and I love seeing that because it's very relatable. I love doing the same thing, but unfortunately, last week in the news, we had mom in the news, and it wasn't really for something positive, of course. It's really odd because as soon as you put that out there, I said, wow, is one of these happening every single week somewhere across the country? An incident involving a bull last week at Utah County and the rodeo. How's your family doing? How's mom doing?
Well, my mom and brother are doing well, thank you. They were really shaken up. My mom got some scrapes and cuts and bruises on her arms, both arms. My brother got his foot stomped on. But thankfully, nothing worse happened. But you know, that bull should not have been able to get out that easily. So I do hope that Utah County really looks into this and figures out why that happened and takes care of the problem.
Well, you saw the mishap here in the video, and then of course one of the injuries, but I'm glad to hear everyone is doing well. What a strange event to have taken place. I'm glad everyone's okay. I'm glad we can kind of smile about that one too. Hey, I didn't realize you were going to plan this here. Obviously, wearing your BYU colors today. But obviously with the announcement for Utah going to the Big 12, BYU's already been there, done that. They're getting ready for things to get going here. Are you happy to see that reuniting of sorts with Utah and BYU in terms of being in the same conference and being able to schedule each other all the time and have that in-state sort of rivalry back?
I really am. I mean, there's nothing as uniting, I guess, as a good rivalry. It's a good in-state rivalry. So it is good to have them back, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy for us, and also go Cougs.
I had a feeling that was coming. Yeah, we deserved that one. Thank you for joining us. As always, this was great. I love that we were able to get into so many different topics. Is there anything we missed? My goodness.
Oh, I'm sure we've missed all sorts of things,
yes,
Brian. We can talk another time.
We'll have to have you come back. Thank you for doing it. If you missed any part of our conversation, you can find it right now, KUTV.com. Also on our YouTube page, very easy to find us there. I think it's KUTV2 Salt Lake City is how you find it there on the search bar. Very easy to find us there. Check us out and join us again for 2 News Live coming up tomorrow with another deep dive on some topics. All right, you know, Chase, you know me, I'm always talking about what's going on behind you. I'm very tuned in and trying to keep on top of things that's happening with our wildfire scenario. Yep. This really is the first big one in terms of acreage, in terms of smoke impacts here in Utah. And good news, it's August. We've made it through the month of July without any serious impacts.
That's right, and hopefully Mother Nature might help out with the Thompson Ridge fire starting tomorrow. If not tomorrow, probably on Thursday, as we can get some rain on this fire. But this is a massive fire now burning near the Beaver area. This is new video sent in by Clay MATHESON. Appreciate that. And if you're in central or eastern Utah towards Moab and you're seeing the smoke, that is the reason. So here's where the smoke is. It is again, near Beaver, northeast of Cedar City, and that smoke is spreading into central and eastern Utah. And it will continue to do so over the next 24 and likely 48 hours. I don't think a lot of that smoke is going to make it into the Wasatch Front, but some of it might spread into northeastern Utah by Thursday. And again, by Thursday, hopefully, we might get some rain on that fire and to help those firefighters. Fire weather warnings are out. We have really dry and hot conditions down in southern Utah, and those winds have been gusting to 20, 30, and even 40 miles per hour. So this continues for the remainder of the day. You'll be extra careful when fire danger is critical, because fires can start very quickly and they can grow rapidly. Part of the reason why it's windy is because of this cold front. We felt it in northern Utah. It's been very pleasant. A few sprinkles this morning. Now the rain's pushing towards the east with the storm system. Most of the rain is in Wyoming. We've had some clearing skies and a really pleasant evening shaping up. Low 80s today along the Wasatch Front. Again, a bit hotter to the south with more 90s. Now tonight with the clear skies, we're going to be cooling things off statewide. How about 49 tonight in Logan, 48 in Park City. We'll be in the upper 50s and low 60s along the Wasatch Front with 50s and 60s to the south as well. Tomorrow, most of the state will be dry except southwestern Utah. That's when we're going to start to see those pop-up thunderstorms. St. George, there's a slight chance for that, but especially the mountain areas of southwestern and portions of south central Utah. Northern Utah mostly sunny and a bit warmer. We'll be in the upper 80s and low 90s, so about 10 degrees warmer than today. Part of the reason why our storm chances are increasing is because of what was Tropical Storm Eugene. Some of this moisture is going to be spreading into the desert southwest. We're already going to feel that impacts tomorrow, but Thursday is going to be the best chance for rain across portions of central and southern Utah. And then this is going to kind of hang out to our west, and we're going to have some leftover moisture kind of lingering Friday, maybe even into the weekend. So each afternoon there will be a chance for a pop-up thunderstorm. St. George, your chances will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. We might see a break on Saturday, but Thursday is your best chance for rain again. Mid-90s for highs. That is below normal, pleasant through the weekend. And as we head into next week, it does look drier and hotter with highs above 100 degrees. Salt Lake, 63 for tonight. We're at 91 tomorrow, 93 on Thursday, 92 Friday, Saturday. So temperatures aren't really going to be changing very much all the way through the weekend, low to mid-90s. Isolated storms possible Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday in northern Utah as well. And again, those overnight temperatures are very pleasant in the upper 60s and low 70s. So just a couple storm chances, not a guarantee we're going to get rain here in Salt Lake. Maybe Friday's probably our best chance, Brian. So I wouldn't change any outdoor plans, but download the 2 News Weather app. Always look at radar, because again, there will be a few storms bubbling up in the afternoon.
This guy always knows what to do with plans. So
yeah.
Take that advice
and
run with it. Make those plans.
Life is short.
Exactly. You're very good at that. I love to see it. Good looking forecast.
Yeah.
I think obviously when you look at parts of the southern part of the state right now with the red flag concern, we saw the new fire pop up. We just got an alert about it, about 15, 20 minutes ago in San Juan County.
Right.
These things can spread quick right now with the low relative humidity, right?
Yeah, and the gusty winds.
Yep.
Everything will get better later tonight, so things will settle, and then hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, they'll get some rain on some of those new fires.
Thank you, Chase. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. If you missed our conversation with the Lieutenant Governor, it is on our YouTube channel, of course. We'll get it in other places for you as well. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another installment of 2 News Live. Have a great night.